The Daughters of Bulgaria was a seed planted by God in 2009 when Patricia Green came from Berlin, when she saw on the streets in Berlin how many of the women there were coming from Bulgaria, and she decided to come to Bulgaria to find out what was happening, and that's when we met her. She said, "These are your mothers, your sisters, and your daughters." Those were the words that planted the seed in our hearts and minds to just simply ask the question, how are we supposed to respond to this issue? How do we respond to the fact that there are enslaved women on our streets in our community? And the amazing thing was that seed began to grow. The Daughters of Bulgaria started to come together as a coalition because we all knew that not one group, not one church, not one mission group could do everything that needed to be done to make a difference. One of the questions that bothered us as we have been doing outreach week after week, developing relationships with these girls, one of the questions that bothered us was, what if one of them wants to come off the street? What do we do? And it was that question that caused us to begin praying a few years ago about long-term care. What if one of our daughters came off the street? What would we do? And the Rose Garden Project was birthed.
The Rose Garden Project is a long-term recovery program for women who have decided that they no longer want to be on the streets, in the bars, in the brothels. They know that they have to do something else. So they come into our program, which is long-term recovery, meaning that we don't quit on them after a month. And this is a long-term care recovery program for women who have been exploited, who have been prostituted, whether in Bulgaria or whether they have come back from Western European or other countries. And we also have a learning center. The learning center runs like a school from 9 to 10 to 5 o'clock. And to see this program full with the women and their little children. But we have full-time childcare for children who are preschool. And so the children too have to be cared for. They experience, both mom and child experience separation anxiety. And so we try to keep the mother and the children together. We are in a development phase, and we can take 2 to 3 women full-time in our housing program. We can take up to 10 women in our learning center. Also very, very thankful for the church family of Grace Church in Dover, and for the prayers and for the financial support, because without that financial support, we're not able to keep our flat, like our safe house. We have all the bills for the flat to pay. And we have a learning center, which is where our recovery program happens.
And we know that God has set our hearts and our hands on this work to see how we can reach out to enslaved women and make a difference in this issue of human slavery. Thank you so much for your prayers, your financial giving. They mean so much to us. Pray for our unity. Pray for God's wisdom to give us direction so that the next 5 years might see the continued growth and effectiveness and daughters coming off the street and finding new life and lives being put back together through the Rose Garden Project.